Welcome to the Undisputed podcast. I'm your host, Jenny Taft. This podcast is the full show from today's episode of Undisputed from start to finish. They've got a busy slate, so skip Shannon. Let's get to it.
Welcome to Undisputed, live from Los Angeles. I'm Alex Curry here with Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharpe. Good morning, guys.
Good morning, Alex.
Today?
Good morning, Alex.
Oh, just another day here on Undisputed. I mean, we got DeSean Jackson, now we got Steven Jackson, and we got Shannon Sharpe, and here we go.
It's something about them Jackson boys.
I'd say something about them.
And speaking of Steven Jackson, we're going to get started with him. The NBA champion and a regular contributor on this show, Steven Jackson, is receiving a lot of criticism after he defended DeSean Jackson for retweeting an anti-Semitic quote that was attributed to Adolf Hitler. Jackson said that DeSean was speaking the truth. Jackson then doubled down, saying, quote, "The point is, you did not say to me that Jews are not trying to divide the black community." He finished it up by saying he had not said one untrue thing yet. Last night, in an interview with CNN, Jackson said he could have been more clear about what he was defending DeSean about. So, Shannon, what is your take on Steven defending DeSean?
I spoke to Stacks yesterday, Skip, and I called him. And I'm like, bro, what are you doing?
So you're 2 for 2.
Yeah,
2 days in a row. You talked to DeSean, now you talked to Steven.
Sometimes I feel like Dr. Phil without the pay.
I got it.
Skip, I was like, Stacks, what are you doing?
Yep.
He's like, man, I said, you doubling down? I was like, what are you doubling down on? Man, at first he said, I was upset because the Eagles released a statement as strong as they did for DeSean, but they didn't release a statement very similar to when Riley Cooper uttered what he said.
That is true.
And I said, when I spoke to you before you went out to see go to Minnesota and deal with the George Floyd situation, I said, what did I tell you? I said, emotion. I say some emotion is good, but only if it's controlled emotion. I say, Stack, you can double down on fact, and as long as you repeat facts, you'll be right. If you double down on emotion, you'll be wrong every time you double down on it. I say, Stacks, you're wrong. I said, you're doubling down on everything that DeSean Jackson said. Instead of, he's like, well, you know what? And as he said in CNN, he could have been more clear. I said, you and DeSean Jackson could have spoke about black empowerment without ever mentioning Hitler. First of all, he didn't even say that.
No, he didn't say that. It has been attributed to him.
Yes. I say, Stacks, in a situation like this, I say, you're a voice, you're a powerful voice now, and people are looking to take pot shots and pick you off. Don't sabotage what you built. There's going to be enough people out there trying to sabotage you. I say, Stack, you're wrong. D-Jack was wrong. You repeated something. I said, think about it, Stack. You repeated a 50-page paragraph, and then the last paragraph, you like, well, that's the point. No. No, I say, Stacks, I'll give you an example. I say, you see, you know how we feel about the Confederacy. When people mention Robert E. Lee, they mention Stonewall Jackson. They say some of the Lee tactics are still used today for today's military. I don't give a damn about that. He owned slaves. He tried to keep my ancestors oppressed. Why do I care about what his military tactics are being used today? That's how the Jewish community feels about Adolf Hitler. I say, Stacks, what we're trying to build is adversaries. Allies. We don't need adversaries. Skip, this is what I did. I said, Stack, let me ask you a question. I said, did you drive to the games when you played in the NBA? He's like, yeah, I said, how many times did you stop off at the park and play somebody one-on-one? He's like, no, I wouldn't do that. I said, we go into the bigger fight, and you picking fights along the way. For what? It makes no sense. I said, they can be our biggest allies. Why are we trying to make them an adversary? Why are we trying to start a fire that there is no fire there? I say, what this movement is about we're trying to gain equality for everybody. So if whites want to come along, that feel that their voices not being heard, join on. Asians, the LGBT community, trans, I don't care, Skip, I don't care. In any movement that excludes anyone, I'm out. I don't care what it is. It can be BLM, it can be HLM, it can be H&M. I don't care. Because I'm trying to gain what's right for everybody that feels that they're in the minority and their voices don't get heard and their faces don't get seen. That's what I'm about. I say, Stack, don't sabotage this. I say, bro, you're a powerful voice. You don't realize how powerful your voice is. I said, but don't undermine your own cause. I said, you and D-Jack were wrong. And you made a point when you didn't have to attribute it to him. Make the point. Talk about black empowerment. Yes, we need to spend more in the black community. Yes, we need to be more united. Absolutely, 1,000% Stacks. But you could have said that. D-Jack could have said that without ever mentioning that Jack tail name. Period.
Period.
So you're wrong. Don't repeat, oh, I'm doubling down on everything D-Jack said, because everything D-Jack said was not right. One little snippet was right. Miss me with everything else.
I greatly appreciate everything you just said about a man we both know because we've had him on the show many times.
Absolutely.
I have gotten to know Steven Jackson, and I would like to try to put him in some perspective, if I might. Maybe simplistically, I divide this world into two categories. You either have a good heart or you have a bad heart.
Correct.
There are some good people and there's some just no good, bad people. Steven Jackson has a good heart.
He has a great heart.
I am here to vouch for it, to endorse it, to back it.
Yes.
He does have a great heart. And until Memorial Day, he was trying to make his way as an NBA analyst on this show, some on ESPN. He's got his podcast called All the Smoke with our man Matt Barnes, also that we have on the show occasionally. And he was making his way into a new career. And he was also continuing his playing career because he was playing in the Big Three at a very high level.
Yes.
So that was his life. And all of a sudden, on Memorial Day, something happened that changed the world. And it certainly changed Steven Jackson's life.
Correct.
George Floyd got murdered on a video that we all saw again and again and again and again and again by a white cop in Minneapolis. Knee on neck. What was it? 4 minutes and 46 seconds?
8 minutes.
I'm sorry, 8 minutes and 46 seconds. It's the most excruciating piece of video I have ever been subjected to watching. And it changed, I think, all of our points of view. It opened a lot of white minds and hearts to your plight and your cause, and to Black Lives Must Matter. I'm going to put an M in before the matter. Must matter. And fate tapped Steven Jackson on the shoulder. Steven Jackson had known George Floyd because he's from Port Arthur, spent time in Houston. George Floyd was from Houston, and they found that they looked so much alike, they looked like twins. They kidded each other, we must have had the same daddy. And they started calling each other twin.
Correct.
And all of a sudden, George gets murdered on Memorial Day, and Steven finds himself in the national spotlight as, wait a second, I feel like I've been chosen. I'm going to have to go to Minneapolis, which he did. He stayed in Minneapolis for, I believe, about a month. We had him on the show a couple times from there. And he began to actually be George Floyd. He was actually standing in for George Floyd. He began to do interviews countrywide. I saw him on Good Morning America, Today Show, all over CNN. He became a national voice, speaking literally for his quote-unquote twin. And now I want to put his life in perspective. Remember, something that happened to our man Steven Jackson when he was 16 in Port Arthur, Texas. His 23-year-old half-brother got jumped and beaten to death, and Steven was not there for him. And he'll tell you to this day, that's his biggest regret in life. I wasn't there to fight for him and defend him. So at heart, he is a defender by nature.
Absolutely.
If you're his guy, he's going to fight for you. He'll be there. He will be there. And he will fight to the death for you. So what happened that night, what became known as the Malice in the Palace, Indiana at Detroit. Ron Artest goes up in the stands to get even with the guy who threw a cup of Coke on him or whatever it was. And who's first to his side? Who flew into the picture? Steven Jackson.
That's not even his fight. But he ran there.
He flew into the picture up in the stands and with fists flying. He is going to be there for his man, Ron Artest. And it cost Steven 30 games. But he didn't regret one game that he missed because he was doing the right thing for his teammate who was doing the wrong thing.
Correct.
So here this is sort of a similar situation.
Correct.
But he was with the Spurs, my Spurs twice, and Tim Duncan called him the ultimate teammate.
Right.
That's Tim Duncan, one of the greatest players ever, one of the great leaders, quiet leaders in the history of the sport, saying that man is the ultimate teammate because he would have your back.
Yes.
On, off the court. If somebody messed with Tim Duncan, they were going to have to explain it and deal with our man Stephen Jackson.
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
And he became a leader of the Spurs, even though he was seen as a little bit against the grain. But he was always going the right direction against the grain.
Right.
So here we have him thrust into the national spotlight, and he began to take his new calling very seriously. He became a zealot for Black Lives Matter in the greatest way possible. He is a powerful speaker. When I saw him at that rally in Minnesota speak off the top of his head, I said, that he's got a gift.
Correct.
Shannon Sharpe has a gift. So you're linked in that way, in that both of you have become very powerful voices, you with a bigger stage at this moment, but Stephen acquiring a big stage.
Correct.
This is all new to him, man. It's not new to Shannon Sharpe. You've been on TV for a long time.
I have.
You understand that you are walking through something of a minefield here, and you have to know, I can walk strong here, but if I step over there, I'm going to step on a landmine.
And many of them looking for you to slip up.
They are.
Looking for that one thing, Skip, and that's what I told him. I said, Stacks, you have to understand, there are many are called, but few are chosen. George, I mean, there was 30, I mean, since then, there probably been 30, 40 black men that's been killed at the hands of police. But none of them had the impact like George. No. So that means you were chosen for this.
Yeah.
I say, Stacks, when people look at you, there are a lot of people that's on the other side. They look at you and look at your background. You see, that was a lot of people tried to discredit Malcolm X because his background wasn't like Dr. King's. Dr. King came up in the church. He was a pastor at a very young age. He was very well versed. And they look at Malcolm X. Oh, you were a pimp. You were a hustler. You went to prison. Why am I going to listen to you? The same thing, Stack. They look at your background. They look at what you did in the Malice of the Palace, and they look at your situation. They're like, huh? No. It took all that to formulate Stephen Jackson. Now, Stacks, let me tell you. Now, doubling down on this, you're wrong twice. You could have easily made this point, not mentioned, say, look, because you have to understand now, freedom of speech doesn't mean freedom of consequences. You're going to be held accountable for your words.
Right. And remember, to your point, as you well know, the stronger you speak out, the stronger they will come at you.
Exactly. So I said, all you had to do is say what DeSean was trying to say is that the blacks, the black empowerment movement is real. If we were to just invest and put that time in our community, our voices would be amplified. When you double down on everything D-Jack said, that wasn't the only thing D-Jack said, which was the point you were trying to make. He said other things. So when you say everything he said was right, the truth, everybody assumed everything that he said, even though it wasn't. Oh, he backing that up? No. Clarity. Context, explain what you're trying to say, not just say everything. Skip, okay, I like chicken.
Okay.
But I like certain parts of the chicken. I like all chicken. No, it's certain parts. I like the breasts, I like the short thigh drumsticks. That's what I'm saying, Skip. I don't like the necks. I don't like the feet. I don't like the beak. Okay?
Yep.
So he basically said, I like all this, everything he said.
Everything he said is the truth.
Yes.
Remember, this is all new to him. He doesn't know the guidelines, the rules, the out of bounds. You can go so strong over here.
Right.
You have to stay focused on your goal. What is the prize out there?
Right.
It's Black lives do matter. They must matter right now.
Right.
Stay there.
Right.
Because you aren't doing good things. You're doing great things.
Correct.
And all of a sudden, he rushed to the defense of a fellow black man who is a friend of his, and they did speak on the phone. And I get the Riley Cooper because I was the first to stand up the next day and say, that's wrong, he must be cut.
Right.
It gives me chills to think about how they mishandled that situation under the old Chip Kelly regime.
Right.
They swung and missed. Michael Vick takes some of the responsibility. He was the leader of that team, and he stood up for Riley Cooper and said basically, you know, he's always been a good dude to me, and I got his back on this one because Michael was getting a second chance, and I think he thought Riley deserved a second. He did not deserve a second chance.
Correct.
And not only did he get a second chance, he got an extension a few months later.
Right.
So we get that.
Right.
But the point that we spoke about yesterday, then two wrongs don't make a new right.
Right.
But you're right about that. That you want to talk about double standards. That's like a quadruple standard.
Right.
But all of a sudden, Stephen plunged down that road of he spoke the truth. And now I'm going to just read it one more time because we have to just put Stephen in perspective.
Right.
The quote attributed to Hitler that wasn't even spoken by Hitler. Which I don't know, but
and
again,
how did it get attached to him? It's unbeknownst to a lot of people.
Okay, so the quote was that that DeSean Jackson retweeted was that white Jews will blackmail America. They will extort America. Their plan for world domination won't work if I'll just say, black people know who they were.
Right.
Okay, this is back in those days.
Right.
Okay. It comes across as an extremely anti-Semitic quote.
Right.
Starting with that name that you know and I know, it just disqualifies everything thereafter.
Everything.
So Stephen began to interact yesterday with people on Twitter, which is not a good idea right now because you're not yet qualified. You haven't thought it all through.
Correct.
This is all too new to you. You're not a veteran at this just yet. So if you then try to defend yourself on Twitter live, basically, just in a give and take with your followers, you're going to be prone to blurting out things you're going to regret.
Correct.
So he said at one point, I don't give an F about Hitler. I know he was cruel, and I don't support that. Well, trust me, to Jewish people saying Hitler was cruel, that's like saying hell is kind of warm, right?
Exactly.
Hitler was a monster.
Right.
He wanted to eradicate the Jews from the face of the earth.
Correct.
Genocide by any means possible. Gas chambers, ovens, suicides, firing squads. Yes, whatever, by any means possible. It's just flat out cold-blooded eradication.
Right.
Okay, so to say cruel, that's going to offend Jewish, so then I got to make this point because we can't go down this path. We'll all lose if we go down this path. So then Stephen posts a message in written form saying, your race's pain doesn't hurt more than the next race's pain. We can't rank the suffering of a race or a culture or a religion. You can't do it because they're all tragedies. That they're all travesties of the worst order of man's inhumanity to man. That's what it is. That's what it boils down to. So, listen, I ache when we talk about slavery and the aftermath of slavery. And yet I ache when I think about what happened to the Native Americans here. And I ache when I think about what happened to the Jews in Germany from about 1939 to 1945. Right. The Holocaust. But we can't rank, you can't say, oh, we've suffered more than you have. Right. You'll lose that because you all suffered. Right. And you can't rush to the defense of a black man at the expense of another group. Correct. And so here comes Stephen, and you're trying to defend a black man while continuing to offend another group of people. A possible ally. Right? A possible ally. A group that I believe you can make a case has been your ally for many years. Yeah. We can argue, we can go back and forth about that. But remember, you're telling the world that DeSean doesn't need to apologize while he is profusely apologizing at that same moment. Yeah. And you're telling the world, as Stephen did yesterday, that DeSean didn't mean his apology because he felt forced to because he was going to get fired. That's what Stephen said yesterday. He was only apologizing because he was forced to. Well, now you're telling me it's not a genuine apology. Well, you're putting DeSean in an even worse position.
Right. Now, I didn't get that. And he told me the point he was trying to make was about black empowerment. And my only thing, and I told him, D-Jack, and I told DeSean Jackson, the exact same thing. Both of you guys could have made your compelling point without mentioning Hitler. Why does Hitler have to be brought up into this? He's not Voltaire. He's not Dr. King. He's not Malcolm X. He's not no great philosopher. Why the hell would you want to repeat anything he ever said?
I try to understand where DeSean was going because he said, I'm trying to uplift the black community because the sort of the thrust of that quote is the black people will save us, right? That's the point. Like
but Skip, you don't stand tall by standing on someone else.
That's what.
Okay, you want to uplift blacks. So what you want to do it at climbing on top of Jewish people? No. We need allies, not adversaries. And I say, Stack, let me ask you a question. Today, what is everybody talking about? They're talking about what DeSean said. They're talking about what you said. Ain't nobody mentioned Black Lives Movement. You see how they done got us distracted? You see how they did it just that quick? We did it to ourselves.
Well, you did.
We did it to ourselves. We stepped in it. Nobody even put poop there. We went looking for it. Come on, bro.
Come on, bro.
And that's what I told him. I said, Stacks, bro, you know I'm going to shoot you straight. He said, I know, Unc. I know that's why, hey. I said, come on. This is not a fight. We don't need this fight. We need as many soldiers for good and for change as we possibly can gather. Don't have people jumping off because, no, I can't be a part of that. Because they already believe that this movement somehow is anti-Jewish. So, come on.
Then allow me to make a point about a pet peeve of yours. How much do you despise it when you hear a white person say, I have black friends, right? Okay. Stephen went there yesterday. He said, I have Jewish friends. And I got love for Jews because they love me. My Jewish friends love me.
Right.
Guess what? Ultimate irony. That's what you don't want to hear from us. Right.
You're exactly right, Skip. And growing up, I didn't know a whole lot. I mean, that's not something that was, I'm in rural South Georgia, Skip. So that wasn't taught a whole lot. So I didn't know a whole lot. Didn't really get abreast on that until I got to college and then got on my own and started hearing people talk about it. But I'm like, my friends are my friends. Skip, I don't ask them, man, what are you? Are you Asian? Are you Native American? Skip, I don't ask that. You cool, we friends, we get along, okay, fine. That ain't got nothing to do with it. So for me, like I told Stacks, I said, Stack, let's not start a fire when we don't have to. Let's try to bring this thing together. I say, we've spoken enough. I mean, we don't have a fight with the Jewish community. They don't have a fight with us. We got a fight with the system that's been entrenched, that's been in place, that's keep us, our economics down, keep us, the systemic and the institutional racism that keep us bound. Let's deal with that. We ain't got no fight with these people out here. We're going to war. So because we're trying to end this war on racism. Skip, if you remember, when Ronald Reagan declared a war on drugs, it wasn't just the local police that he called to do it. He wanted all military, he wanted all hands on deck. So we want all hands on deck because we're going to war against racism.
The one thing Stephen said yesterday that I completely wholeheartedly endorse is he wrote, it's a new day, bruh. Well, it is.
Yes.
Black lives must matter right now.
Right.
It's that time, but it has nothing to do with Hitler and the Jewish people.
We're not, that's not our fight. We're not trying to fight that.
No mercy. Video surfaced last night of UFC fighter Mike Perry punching a man at a Texas restaurant Tuesday night. After punching the man, Perry could be heard using the N-word several times. It should be noted that the man he punched and the surrounding crowd appeared to be Caucasian. After the incident, Perry simply tweeted, quote, no comment. So, Shannon, how should he be punished for using the N-word?
Well, Skip, considering that he's used the N-word before and there's been no punishment by the UFC, I don't see how he's going to get punished on this situation. But he have bigger fish to fry with the police department. Because unlike you and I, Skip, his hands are considered lethal weapons. So if he picked up a bottle, had a knife, or some type of instrument in his hand, that is a lethal weapon. His hands are a lethal weapon. Now, I didn't know a whole lot about him, Skip, but the other day I watched his fight, and I thought it was cool because unlike most MMA fighters, his girlfriend was in his corner.
She has been.
And so I was like, man, that's cool. I mean, that's an awful lot. I said, that's showing me something. But then I listened to the video. And let me tell people something at home. Alcohol will change your character. It doesn't change your morals. You see, when you're drunk or you're angry, you say you will speak your heart. Now, everything he said while he was intoxicated, he's always wanted to say. When he called his girlfriend the garden tool, that's what he thinks of her. That's what he's wanting to say. But alcohol gives you the cover of darkness, Skip. You know what I'm saying? There's a reason why more things happen at the dark than in the daylight, because the darkness gives you a cover. Alcohol gave him a cover to utter what he uttered. That's who he is. Skip, and then this, you know what, had the nerve to say, I'm 2% black. Hell, I guess since I had egg whites this morning, I'm 0.5% egg or chicken or something, I'll Skip.
As many egg whites as you eat, you might be 1%.
You just talked about it. You know how we hate, I got Jewish friends, because police pull him over. He's been in, what you think they put on that thing? They ain't put, 2% black. They don't put Caucasian. They put white. They put black or African American. They put Asian or Hispanic. That's what they put. They don't put 2%. What you went to Ancestry.com or something? This is ridiculous. I can't believe that he had the audacity to say, well, because I'm 2%, I get the right to use that. And he's, like I said, he said it before. He got into a spat with Michael J. White. Skip, I don't know if you know who that is. He's an actor that's been in a lot of martial arts movies. And he uttered, he tried to be cool and put the A on the end of it. Nah, bruh. You can't do that. That's just like, I wouldn't try to be cool with the Hispanic community and talk to them like they talk to each other. But I don't believe Dana's going to do anything, because there have been a lot of physical confrontations before. It's not like he said this. Now, if he'd said this at a press conference or something, it might be different. But I don't believe in. Plus, Dana is he's trying to get this Fight Island going. That's the last thing on his mind. I'm sure he's been abreast of the situation, but I don't see any punishment coming unless it comes from, I guess, the Texas PD or whatever's going to handle this.
Which is why Dana may just sit back and let the police take care of this, because it is now a big police matter.
Yeah.
I believe he decked 2 people.
It's going to cost him a couple of dollars, too.
Yeah, okay. So, Mike Perry spent the first part of his childhood in Flint, Michigan. What's Flint known for? A lot of good basketball players have come out of there and played at Michigan State, called the Flint Stones, right?
Yep.
Mike Perry says he went to a majority black school in Flint, and it had maybe 10 white kids in it. And he says he was bullied, and he learned to fight, not by choice, but by self-defense purposes, and that he fought his way through that school until his parents up and moved to Florida. But he spent the first part of his childhood in that school fighting.
Okay.
Sometimes he said almost for his life. But because of that, he seems to feel like he sort of grew up in the black culture. But to your point, as we see there, he's just not a black man. So that word that you spoke of, that we've talked about many times on this show, the most evil, vile word in the English language is the N-word that ends in the hard ER, the one that Riley Cooper spat out at that country western concert while he was inebriated because he was mad at some ushers or security people. And he said, I'll fight all the N's, plural, with the hard ER. That's over and done for me. You're out, you're cut, you're done. As you well know, way better than I know, your community took that word and drained the poison out of it and put an A on the end of it and made it a term of endearment to be spoken only by black people to black people.
Correct.
It's a we're all in this together term. That makes you feel like we've all suffered and we know what it feels like.
Correct.
So that N or that N, but it's with the A on it.
Correct.
He constantly uses that word as if he is black.
Yeah.
And you cannot do it. I've said this, I've told so many of the kids that come to our shows, no. You can't use it. As much as you love rap music, you can't go to the concert and scream out that word in the lyrics that's being uttered or sung by, obviously, a black rapper who wrote it. So he's using that word constantly. So he's not using it against white people, or I'm sorry, against black people as in you're an N with the ER on it. He's not calling black people that. He's got, the bar looked like it was in Lubbock, Texas.
Right.
It looked like it was, if not all, white people, right?
But he did, but in the end, though, Skip, you hear the hard ER.
Did you hear it?
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
Some of it was blurry.
Oh, yeah. He put, now, a lot of times on the, on IG, when he's going back and forth, he used the A.
Okay.
But on that video last night, no, he put that ER. Big E, big R.
Okay.
Emphasis.
Well, to that point, at some point, Dana has to step in. Again, maybe this is a police matter right now.
Yes.
But at some point, especially in the day and age we now live in, you have to challenge that and you have to punish that. And that's what I love about this point in time we're in. At least we're to the point where the vestiges of slavery, the symbols of racism are being challenged.
Right.
Successfully challenged. And racism that used to just hide in plain sight is now openly challenged. It's open season on racism. Well, then that must be challenged. I couldn't hear that on the tape. I thought the A word.
Because I think there was a black man that was trying to calm him down also. I think everyone was basically trying to calm him down. His girlfriend was pleading, let's just leave, let's leave, Mike, let's just leave. And then for him to call her out of her name and talking about, you're not on my side. Skip, I'm telling you, man, people, like I said, alcohol is a cover. Because what it does is like, man, I was drinking. You knew exactly. Because guess what, Skip? All alcohol does is it breaks down your fear, your inhibition. It gives you courage. And then you use that as the crutch. Well, I was inebriated or I was intoxicated. You knew what you were doing. Now, I got some places I can take him in Atlanta. I can take him to the Bluff. And Skip, I know you don't know, but the Bluff is an acronym. You know what it stands for? You better leave, you effing fool. Or I can take him to the SWATs. I can take him there and let him use that word and let's see how it come out.
What is the Bluffs?
You better leave, you effing fool. That's a section of Atlanta. And they don't play. They real about it over there. In Southwest Atlanta. There's a section that Metro 8, I think it's Metro 8. Let it go, bro. He wouldn't last 2 minutes. He yelled that word one time, it's over, kaput.
Well, I would hope there are other places in this country that he.
I mean, you're in the right place. I mean, you're in the right place. Like I tell people, a lot of times we see this stuff and Skip, and I don't know if you saw this, but there's in Bloomington over the weekend on the 4th, they actually tried to get a black man. And the guy said, get a noose.
Tried to hang him, yeah.
So I
they had him pinned up against the tree. I saw it.
I wonder if they were going to use, were they going to look like that was in Bubba Wallace's garage? Was the noose going to look like that?
Probably would have.
So Skip, I just don't, I don't get it. Why you feel comfortable doing that? And why you feel, after a certain while, Skip, you know how alcohol does you. You know what it does to you. So it's best if you, now I've been around guys, Skip, they go solely to the bar to do what he did, to get drunk and to fight. But something happened in like the late 80s, 90s, guys stopped fighting and they started laying you down with other instruments. They pulled a stick out on you. Ain't nobody knuckling up, talking about fight fair. Ain't no such thing as a fight. Ain't no fair in fight. So he gonna have to be careful, Skip, because he gonna catch the right person on the wrong day, and it's gonna be a sad day. So you just stop this. You about to be on the come up in the UFC. You fighting. You got your name out there. It was a great story that you got your girl, because I've never seen it. I'm not saying it's never happened before, but I've never seen I think Wolf. I think there was in boxing. I think I forget her last name was Wolf, but she trained a fighter that won a title. But you don't see this in MMA, Skip. You don't see women in the corner. And so it was a great story, and then you go F it up. In 1 week, this is what you've done. But you know what, Skip? Think about it. When whites or a certain race of people get mad at black, what is the word they go to? What's their go-to word? Because they know it's that trigger. They go to that end with that, you say with that hard R at the end. They know it. It's universal. It doesn't matter the country. They'll yell that word because that word is inflicting more pain on the black population than any other word in history.
totally agree.
No mercy.
Last night during an interview, Georgia Senator and WNBA Atlanta Dream co-owner Kelly Loeffler continued her strong stance against the Black Lives Matter movement. She was also asked if she would step down as owner of the Dream. Take a listen.
Is there any chance, Senator, I should say, that you are going to step aside as an owner, give up your interest, or sell it off? Any chance?
Look, Laura, what's at stake here is
yes
much
or no?
more than a team.
It's no wiggle room. Come on. I mean, this is the Ingram angle.
No.
What's it, yes or no? No.
No.
Shannon, will she continue her ownership stake?
Skip, I don't see how. I understand she doesn't want to, but I think there's something in the provision. I think in all organizations, we saw that in basketball. Donald Sterling did not want to give up his, but he understood there was enough owners to vote him out.
Yep.
In the NFL, it's the exact same way. If enough owners get, and you're going to need a majority, so if 20, I think it's 24, 26 of the owners were to vote, so it's going to, I believe it's the same thing. If enough of these owners says no, she has to go, she has no choice because she entered into a contract where, and that's what's going to happen. It's hard for them to field a team if nobody wants to play for the Dream. Now, so I don't get, now I get what she's doing here, Skip. She's up for election. Now, she was a special appointee by the governor, Brian Kemp, in the state of Georgia.
To be the senator.
To be the senator. Johnny Isakson stepped down for health-related reasons. Now, in order for her to get reelected, she's going to have to go before the people. Now, the people are going to have to put, there's nothing else Brian Kemp can do. He's done her a solid by placing her there. She's a diehard, staunch supporter of President Trump. Everything he stands for. But Skip, she mentioned this cancel culture. Guess who started that? One, President Trump. Because you remember in 2017 when he went down to Alabama and he said the players that kneel, that the owner should get fired, get them out. He started it. When the media wouldn't give him favorable reports, newspaper, cancel them, they should be done away with. Journalists, fired.
Fake news.
He started the cancel culture. Now you see what happened is now black people got a little voice, got a little power. We calling out their bull jive. Oh, they want to cancel. You're exactly right, Ms. Kelly. We want to cancel the system that's been in place for this length of time that keep minorities down, that keep minorities bound. You're exactly right. We want to cancel that culture. And we're going to do everything we possibly can to upend that culture, tear it down. So, Skip, I don't see how, given what she stands for, given what the WNBA stands for, I don't see how she stays in this role.
The truth is, I don't believe she cares whether she stays in this role or not. I think she'd like to fight for it until the election, which is November 3rd.
Right.
But after that, I don't think she cares. I think she knew when she sent this letter to the commissioner of the WNBA, and I'm going to guess that she or her side, her people, leaked this letter to the media because she wanted it out there.
Right.
Because as you know and I know, this is a page right out of the playbook of our president.
Yeah.
And I believe that, like our president, she might be a little desperate about whether she can be actually elected back into the post she was appointed to. Your state of Georgia appears that it might become, for the first time in almost 30 years, a swing state. Will it vote Trump? Will it maybe vote Biden? Will it be on the fence?
I think maybe Clinton.
Okay. It was 92. Clinton. Yes, they voted Clinton, or majority voted Clinton. So because of that, she's no shoe-in to get elected into this office.
Correct.
And she played the far-right card. She went back to her constituency that she believes would vote her into this office, just the way I believe our president is also reaching back for those people,
his base,
hoping they're still there for him.
Right.
And I'm going to remind everyone, she grew up on a farm in central Illinois, not in Georgia, outside a little town called Stanford. Then she went to the University of Illinois down the bottom of the state, south in southern Illinois, Champaign, and then back up to the very top of the state in Chicago to DePaul to get her business master's in business. And then she worked her way up through business and joined a very powerful company. And within a couple of years, she married the CEO of that company. And she is a very wealthy woman.
Yeah, and insider trading, but we talk about that.
They were investigated, but it was dropped. But they were investigated.
It was dropped, huh?
It was dropped.
Oh, okay.
Okay, but to your point, correct. They were definitely investigated. just before the pandemic hit. They were selling a lot of shares, and it looked like whatever. Okay. So now she has become a 50% owner of the Atlanta Dream. I don't think that in the grand scheme of things, that matters very little to her.
Very.
But it is a great stage for her and a great platform by which to campaign. So she chose the moment, and it's some shrewd operating here, to not just double down against Black Lives Matter, to just go all in against Black Lives Matter with exaggerations and I believe some fabrications, because her first statement in the letter, if I may repeat some of the things she claimed, she called it Black Lives Matter a political movement. And by the way, just this is my 2 cents from over on this side of the table. It's not a political movement. It's a human movement.
Right.
It's a life movement.
Correct.
It's an equality movement. It's not about politics per se. It's about people. So I don't buy that, but she says that this political movement has advocated for defunding the police, called for the removal of Jesus from churches, not sure about that one, and the disruption of the nuclear family structure. I don't think Black Lives Matter has anything to do with that. I might be wrong, but I'm sorry, I don't see that one. That the Black Lives Matter movement has harbored anti-Semitic views. Well, DeSean stepped into that. Maybe that gave her the opening. I don't know, but whatever. And then in her latest salvo yesterday, she did a couple of national TV interviews. This organization, Black Lives Matter, seeks to destroy American principles, and I had to draw the line. Destroy American principles. I'm lost on that one, but maybe it plays well to what you call the base.
But she's not lying, because the American principles is as she sees them. Minorities impoverished, minorities not having the economic base.
You mean the way things were?
Right. So she's absolutely right. They don't want to upset that, the end of systemic and institutional racism. So the principles of which America was founded on is right. She doesn't want that to go away. A lot of people don't want that to go away. That's what President Trump keeps talking. Our heritage. Even though, as we talked about in the first segment, Skip, your heritage came at the expense and pain and suffering of someone else's heritage. She doesn't get it. Well, she gets it. She does. Totally gets it. She totally gets it. She's like you said, she's a very educated woman, and she knows what's at stake here. And so that's what Skip, you remember, I think it was 2014? Maybe 2014 is when the Tea Party rose to prominence, because they said there's some things that's going on in this administration that we don't like, so we're gonna start a movement. Well, blacks say, you know what, we kind of tired of this. We're tired of this police brutality. We're tired of not having the economic base that we see another segment enjoy. We're tired of these institutions and this systemic racism that's held us back for years and years and years. We're tired of it. So we're going to start a movement. That's normally what happens, Skip. There's an uprising. That's what happened with the Tea Party. I got tired of this. They said, we're tired of taxation without representation. So you know what they did, Skip? They started an uprising. And they dumped all that tea in the Boston Harbor, because that was the money. Tea was money then. It was the currency. Not dollars and cents, tea. So that got their right. So the blacks and whites and minorities said, we're going to start a movement. And what is happening, Skip, if you notice, the movements are getting bigger. You look at gay pride, and you look at the people that's around the country, how big this movement is. You look at the LGBT community and how big this movement is. And you look at Black Lives Matter, and you see how movement is. And they see, for the very first time, I Skip, in a very long time, I believe they say this paradigm is shifting. And we got to do something. We got to hold them. Skip, they're not letting it go. Power concedes nothing without demand. Nobody's going to say, you know what? We've been here for a long time, and we've had it this way. We think we want to be fair. We want to do right by you guys, and here you go. Here's some power, and here's some of our economics. And this, we're going to tell you, no, that's not how it works, Skip.
So if you step away from what's happening with Senator Loeffler, it's almost laugh out loud, the irony of it. She owns 50% of a women's basketball team in Atlanta, which I consider like a black capital,
it is.
right? Okay.
And a huge gay population, Skip.
Okay.
The pride down there is unbelievable.
Okay, and the starting five for the Atlanta Dream is African American.
Oh.
The top 8 scorers from last year, either black or minority. And she owns half of that, which just seems wrong to start with. But whatever, it's American. You can buy your way in.
Right.
So there she is. And then the truly laugh out loud statement from her in the letter to the commissioner was, the truth is we need less politics in sports, not more. This is all about her politics.
Yeah.
And from start to finish, it's all about her political position.
Correct.
And her ability to win an election and continue to be. She's gotten a taste of this as an appointee. She's called the junior senator now from Georgia. Mm-hmm. She wants to get elected.
Right.
She wants a 4-year run in Washington, D.C.
And she's running on the very platform that President Trump is standing on.
Right. And she is following the leader. This is exactly his M.O.
Yes.
I don't know if she has communication with him. I don't know if he encouraged this.
Yeah, basically all 50 of them. More than that because they have the majority. A lockstep and barrel with it.
Yep.
They pretend, like Susan Collins in Maine, she pretend what he's doing is very troubling and concerning. Oh, yeah, I'm going to vote with him. Same thing. I don't let him fool me, Skip. See, you can say one thing, but when it comes time to vote, because I be watching C-SPAN, I'm like, it was concerning to you, but you still voted. You still confirmed. Okay.
No mercy.
NBA analyst Kenny Smith made waves this week when he not only ranked LeBron outside of his top 5 of all time, but he said that LeBron is ranked 10th. Kenny attributed it to how scoring is now easier and it's hard to evaluate today's game against the previous greats. So Shannon, are you surprised that Kenny ranked LeBron so low?
He finds it hard to evaluate current players against the greats of the past, but somehow he did it. I don't know how he's able to do that, Skip. He found it very hard. You know, Skip, I don't think there's a fan or a expert that says LeBron James is currently the 10th best player all time in the history of the NBA. I just find that very hard to believe. A guy that's tied for the 4th most MVPs, the 2nd most final MVPs, the 3rd most All-Star games, the most All-NBA, the most NBA first team, 6-time defensive player, 6 all defensive teams. And Kenny mentioned his podcast. He got Kareem, MJ, Oscar, Bill Russell, Wilt, Shaq, Magic, Bird, all in his top 10. But LeBron is the 10th best player of that group. He's talking about, it's easier to score. Is that all LeBron does? LeBron rebounds. He assists the ball. And he's like, any of those players, Shaq played in that era. Shaq didn't go to 8 straight finals, and he had Kobe. So when he had a guy that you mentioned, and there's 2 of those guys together that you got, and they don't go to 8 straight finals, what's going on? I need to know why. Magic, you got Magic and Kareem. There are 2 guys on that team that you got in your top 10, and they didn't go to 10 straight. 8 straight. They only went to 3 straight. I think they went 85. No, they went 85. They went 85. No, they went 80. Skip 81. Bird won 82. 83, 84. So, Skip, the thing is, it's not that easy. What I see, Skip, and we talk about this a lot with football, if you played in an era, it's hard to let that era go and say another era is better. Skip, I played in the era, if you look at, I got like 8, 9, 10 guys on the 100th anniversary team, from LT to Reggie to Bruce Smith, Ray Lewis, Joe Montana, Elway, Marino. Rod Woodson, Ed Reed. So, Skip, I'm like, man, I'm feeling good. Ain't nobody. I don't care who, from Jim Brown's era to right now, ain't nobody. Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, all of them I played against that era. So I'm saying, I got the best era ever. And I think that's what Kenny's holding on to. Kenny came up in the 80s. So it's hard for him to let Bird, Magic, Mike, it's hard for him to let that go. But the guys are better now. The guys are better athletes now. They do this full time. They take care of their bodies better now. They eat better now. They lift more now. Skip, it's just the athlete is just better. That's why you see the times and what guys are able to do. Man, for LeBron James not to be but the 10th best player, I just want to see I need somebody, because Kenny Smith is the same guy that said LeBron James is unathletic. First game of the season, guy averaging 25, 10, and 8.
He said that Kawhi Leonard tonight made him look unathletic.
So one game, you based that on one game.
He did.
So how did he look now? After he said that, how does he look right now?
Okay, but what had LeBron just done? What he had just witnessed? And he was there at the game. They were live at the game. What happened in the fourth quarter?
Any evaluators, any coaches says if you only evaluate a player by one game, you'll make... Isn't that what you tell me about great players?
You know, the definition of television can be prisoner of moment. It's what we do.
No, I ain't no prisoner.
And he sat up there. Their perch was up there at the top in Staples Center in the first deck, you know. And he watched it. And remember, it's 85-all going to the fourth quarter. And LeBron ended up scoring 2 points. And his new partner scored 0 points. Anthony Davis scored 0. And Kawhi took the game over down the stretch. And they won pretty handily.
You expect fans, not guys that played the game at a high level, that follow the game, that study the game, not to become prisoner of the moment.
Okay, but what did we just watch? A whole season in which LeBron James went 29 and 28 as a starter for the Lakers the previous year. And we had the blooper tape that we showed, and he did start to look like age was catching up.
Was it age or the growing?
Huh?
Was it age or the groin?
I don't know, but it was one or both. But he did come back from the groin and didn't look much better than pre-groin.
Hashtag revenge season.
Well, that's what he said. Continues soon, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, I actually, the last time we did an all-time top 10 ranking, I actually had LeBron 9th. So, I actually value LeBron a little bit more than Kenny Smith does. Allow me to say this about Kenny Smith. I've had him on shows before. I watch him almost religiously on TNT. Nobody can break down tape live on national TV any better than Kenny Smith can. I think he is a brilliant basketball analyst as far as X's and O's and breaking down game tape. And I believe that Kenny Smith knows what he is watching. And if he says LeBron ranks 10th, I respect that. Again, I have him not.
Yeah, this is opinion.
And again, to your point, I'm going to give you this because of the era Kenny played in. And he played at he wasn't a superstar. He was pretty good.
Yeah.
And he played on championship teams. So he gets it. He knows it. He played at the school you love and the tradition you love the most, North Carolina. And he was, again, not a star, but a very good player on both levels, college and pro. So he's not just an analyst. He played, and I believe he really gets it. And so when I look at this list, there's no way to me, and I don't want to just beat this all to death again because we just went through The Last Dance, watching it on ESPN. But in just sheer killer will, LeBron does not have that Michael Jordan had. That's just me. So that separates those two. That's why I have Jordan #1. That's also why I have Kobe and Larry Bird, your favorite player as a kid. I have them in the 2 slots just ahead of LeBron on my list. I got Kobe 7, Larry Bird 8. And it's because of that thing, that killer will, that drive, that clutchness, that thing where that refused to lose. I think they had it stronger than LeBron has it. Not to say that LeBron isn't all-time gifted in so many ways, one of the great passers ever, a great scorer. He always says, I'm not a scorer. He can roll out of bed and get you 28 or 30 just pretty easily. It's almost like you watch the game, you say, he got 30? Wow. And yet, I have 4 centers ranked up in the middle of my list. I go Shaq, Kareem, Tim Duncan, and Bill Russell. And by the way, Tim Duncan was a center. I don't care which you call him the greatest power forward. He's 7 feet tall. I'm sorry, and he's long, and he plays center.
Skip, I think if David Robinson hadn't been there, they would have referred to him as a center. But because he was
there for a minute, and then Tim Duncan was there for a long time.
Well, he won 2 championships with.
I got it. But once Tim took over the team,
he played the 5. He played the 5.
Played the 5, and so I can't do best power forward ever. No, he's the 5. So I have those in a row, and then that leaves my #2 position. Just in winners intangibles, there's never been anything like Magic Johnson to me. So that's why I have him in the 2 slot. So then we look at the flip side of this. And again, I don't want to just pound on this day and night here on the show, but LeBron has had way more epic fails, in my view, than any of these players ranked above him on this list suffered in their careers because, again, he did get swept by the Spurs. You could say they have 3 Hall of Famers, but this was the best player on the planet. He got swept by the Spurs. And then 2009 came, and he hit the shot heard round the world in Game 2 at home against Orlando and Dwight Howard. And then he ends up losing games 4, 5, and 6. And then the next year, Boston. Here we go again in the playoffs, and he has one of the greatest games of his career in Game 3 at Boston, and then he winds up losing 4, 5, and 6, and his owner accuses him of quitting in those games, and some of his insiders from his camp leaked the story that he had to be sedated before each of those games because of an internal team issue. Okay, which leads us to the decision. I'm taking my talents to South Beach. In his first finals with the Heat, 2011 against Dallas, they go up 2-1 at Dallas, and reportedly, LeBron went back to his hotel room and started making a list of, I'm going to tell these people so. And according to the reports, I was at the top of the list. And then he shrank. Games 4, 5, and 6. I thought he melted down in the way I'd never seen a superstar just melt down, just freeze up. And the first game was pathetic. He scored 8 points in Game 4, and it didn't get much better from that point on. And we all agreed, I think, boy, chosen one became the frozen one. Okay, these are epic fails. And then they break through against the Thunder, and LeBron was he's the MVP. Way to go. It's about damn time, he said after that game. But then if Ray Allen doesn't hit the greatest clutch shot I've ever seen, they lose that game and that championship. But again, LeBron was coming apart down the stretch. He had 3 turnovers in the last 3 minutes and 2 in the last 1 minute.
But they were down. But Skip,
okay.
But let me ask you,
I know he did good things also, but there was some epic fail going on.
But you mentioned that LeBron got swept, and he's gotten swept twice. Did you know Magic and Kareem got swept in '83? Magic got swept again by Detroit. Kareem got swept.
Okay, but when Magic got swept, he pulled his hamstring, and Byron pulled his hamstring in game number 1.
How was his hamstring in '83 when Moses Malone swept him?
Well,
him and Kareem.
Okay, all right, that's fair.
And what happens if Magic doesn't hit that baby hook? Now all of a sudden.
Okay, but he hit it.
Yeah.
It wasn't like Byron hit it.
But he hit it. That's my thing. But you remember in '84 what happened when Magic dribbled out the time?
He did.
And they didn't call it
Tragic Johnson.
Oh, would you consider that an epic fail?
Yep, I could, but did he not right the wrong against Larry Bird?
Oh,
did he not beat him 3 times in finals?
Y'all up. Yeah. Did he right the wrong against the Thunder? Did he right the wrong against Tim Duncan? Did he right the wrong against the
I don't know if he did. But then what happened in 2014? They get blown off the floor by a record finals margin. And remember, Game 1, he cramps. Nobody else cramped except LeBron James. He scores 2 points in the fourth quarter. You realize they're up 4 in Game 1, going to the fourth quarter at San Antonio, and he cramps.
Well, that lets you know. He was the guy, right?
Okay. And then what happened in Game 1, 2018 at Oakland? He has the greatest shooting night of his career that he refuses to shoot the last shot. He's got Steph on him and won't just pull up and shoot an 18-foot shot.
That's not Skip.
Okay, but it's just what you have to do. It's what everybody does if you're that guy.
No, you do what you do. That's not what he is. He's not just pull the ball up from 18 and shoot over the top of somebody.
So then JR, obviously, first George Hill misses the second free throw. JR loses his mind and his place and where he is. And LeBron goes over and pouts on the bench. And that's not a top 10 move. That's not, you can't pout. You're tied at Oakland in Game 1 going to overtime, and he quit. For the first half of overtime, he didn't score a field goal in overtime. He wouldn't even take a shot for 2.5 minutes.
But the thing is, people don't realize that Kareem and Oscar played together, and the Celtics beat them. Shaq and Kobe played together against a team.
Kareem and Oscar won a championship together, and Oscar was on his last leg.
Shaq and Kobe played together and got beat by a team with no Hall of Famers, which would be the equivalent of the Mavericks. But the Mavericks got a Hall of Famer in first ballot in Dirk and Jason Kidd.
No, I'll give you, the Mavericks were very good that year. They were they had swept Kobe and the Lakers.
And they beat the Thunder.
They beat the Thunder. They beat them handily. Yeah.
But hold on.
Okay, I got it. But we're talking about the GOAT, according to you.
What I'm talking about is Kenny Smith's list that he got Shaq and Kobe. Shaq and Kobe, arguably the greatest duo ever. They got beat for a gentleman's sweep by a team that had no Hall of Famers.
Okay, but they also won 3 together in which they just crushed the field. just dominated the field.
Well, the field was them with San Antonio. Once they got past San Antonio, nobody was going to beat them in the finals coming out of the East because hold on. I thought the East was the Eastern Conference.
Well, it
was not the Eastern Conference as long as Shaq and Kobe winning titles. No. But when LeBron won titles, it's the Eastern Conference.
Okay, but I give you that. But they dominated the West. They dominated the West. They crushed everybody in the West. It wasn't a fair fight between Robinson, Duncan, and Shaquille O'Neal.
I remember when the West was the East in the 80s. When the Lakers was going to 9 finals in 12 years, when they had the Supersonics, and they had Utah, and they had Dallas Maverick, and they had Sacramento, they had all those teams. And I didn't hear anybody say, oh, Magic got cakewalks. Magic got cakewalk. When you got the Boston Celtics, you got the Detroit Pistons, you got the 76ers, you got the Bucks. That was the conference, but nobody said a thing. It wasn't until LeBron James started going to these things on the red. Now, all of a sudden, it's the Eastern Conference. Nobody said the left is the West.
Shannon, the baby raptors?
I don't do that.
The baby dinosaur?
Baby dinosaur, we did it to him. We made them baby.
It was just like an embarrassment.
We did it to him.
DeMar DeRozan?
The #1 seed.
Come on.
What LeBron tell y'all? LeBron said #1 seed, 8 seed, 4 seed, mustard seed, don't matter. Have faith. Plant men have faith. What the Bible tell you? If you go to church, read the Bible, he said, if you got the faith of a mustard seed, LeBron said, I'm a mustard seed. Plant me down and watch me grow to the finals.
That's the first time LeBron has ever been compared to a mustard seed.
These rankings and these lists just add fuel to LeBron's fire.
Yeah. Way to go, Kenny.
Love it.
Okay.
No mercy.
NBA champion and a regular contributor on this show, DeSean Jackson, is receiving a lot of criticism after he defended DeSean Jackson for retweeting an anti-Semitic quote that was attributed to Adolf Hitler. Jackson said that DeSean was, quote, speaking the truth. Last night, in an interview with CNN, Jackson said he could have been more clear about what he was defending DeSean Jackson about. So, Shannon, when you spoke to DeSean yesterday, what was your takeaway from that phone call?
I agree with his final point last night on CNN, Skip, that he could have had provided clarity on what he was doubling down on. As I told him yesterday, D-Jack was wrong, you're wrong, and when you double down on a wrong, you're wrong twice. I said all you had to do was okay, what are you supporting D-Jack on? Which was the uplifting, the empowerment of the black community. Boom, we're done. That's what I support D-Jack on. No harm, no foul. But when you double down on everything, he's telling the truth. Everything D-Jack said is the truth. So in other words, you're co-signing. Remember, Skip, it's like a retweet. So in other words, you're co-signing everything he said. No, because everything that he said, what D-Jack said wasn't right. The hatred that we're trying to get rid of is the hatred that all of a sudden you're agreeing with. Nah, that ain't how we do it, Stacks. I say, Stacks, you're in a great place right now. You're the voice. I said, and people will try to discredit you. People don't want to believe in you simply for the fact of your past. Because it's not like when it's like, and I mentioned earlier, Skip, it's like Dr. King. Dr. King grew up in the church. His father was a pastor. He grew up. Malcolm X, you know, Detroit's Red, I think they called him Red. And he was a pimp and he went to prison and he did. They're like, why am I, now all of a sudden we supposed to follow you? I say, Stack, because of your background, people are going to look to disqualify you. They're going to look to discredit you. Don't you give them ammunition. Your voice is too powerful in our community now.
It is.
We need you now. We don't need missteps. We need allies. That community, the Jewish community, can be an ally. We don't need adversaries. I said, Stack, you never played pickup. And I asked him, hey, you go into the game, how many times you stop and play somebody in a one-on-one? Like, never. I said, see, we go into the game. We ain't trying to fight nobody along the way. So, and that was my only point with him, Skip, is that I needed him to understand. And I say, Stacks, we're gonna have to read even more than ever, because when you do these interviews, people are going to try to call you, and you're going to have to be able to call their bluff. Yep. Because when they call me to the carpet, I'm ready. I have my carpenter gear, Skip. I'm built for this. So you just have to understand. People are going to try to trip you up. People are going to try to, make you look bad. Don't fall into their trap. But don't you set traps for yourself. Yep. And get caught in it.
Very well said. So, DeSean Jackson.
Know him.
I have come to know DeSean Jackson pretty well. We've had him on the show a lot. I've spent some time around him off camera, after shows. I'm going to stake my reputation on this. DeSean Jackson is a good man with a good heart.
Absolutely.
Until Memorial Day, DeSean Jackson was just trying to make his way into a second career as a basketball commentator / analyst. And he has started a very successful podcast with Matt Barnes. And he's done some work at ESPN and some work here. And he's good at it. And he's getting better at it. But he is not yet qualified to be a leading spokesman for Black Lives Movement, Black Lives Matter movement, because he got tapped on the shoulder the day after Memorial Day because he has known George Floyd from days when he was in Port Arthur. George Floyd was growing up in Houston. And they considered themselves twins because they look so much alike, to the point that they kidded each other, do we have the same daddy? And because of that connection, and because of the murder of George Floyd, and because of the most evil video I've ever watched over and over and over again, a horror movie come to life, the murder of George Floyd by a white cop, knee on neck, for 8 minutes and 46 seconds, the world stopped. And a lot of white people, for the first time, opened their eyes and their minds and said, man, that can't happen again.
Right.
And all of a sudden, I'm watching protests featuring as many white people, most of them younger white people, as black people.
Right.
Oh, it's a new day. Maybe we got a chance. Maybe.
Right.
Flashpoint moment, maybe even a watershed moment that swept up DeSean Jackson into the vortex of it, because he was the twin of George Floyd. And all of a sudden, he went to Minneapolis and found himself actually standing in for George Floyd in interviews, as if he became the living George Floyd, the embodiment of George, because they look so much alike. The family embraced him. The city embraced him. And he must have spent about a month in Minneapolis in the hotel there, I think. And he spoke. That's the first time I ever seen him speak in public at a rally. Boy, he made me sit back and take notice, man. It was potent. It was powerful. It was Shannon Sharpe-esque. And I said, this man has talent for this.
Right.
This man could do a lot of good as a very powerful voice, as an ex-NBA player, obviously, with some cachet, for Black Lives Matter. And I think it shocked him, because he'd never considered this would be his calling. He got tapped on the shoulder by a higher force, by a higher power. It's almost like, I choose you to do this.
Right.
And he's 42 years of age, and it's all new to him. So he's learning on the fly. And all of a sudden, he's doing interviews on Good Morning America, Today Show, CNN, not sports shows, national TV shows. He's speaking about a movement that he loves with all his heart and soul. We've seen that again and again here, because we know him.
Right.
But he'd never been thrust into a leadership position, a spokesman position.
This public speaking is new to him.
No.
Skip, we got called. I remember when we growing up, and my grandfather would tell my brother and I before we left for church, one of you were praying today, one of you guys are leading the devotional service. I'll let you decide, guys, decide on the way to church.
That's cool. Love that.
Well, okay, Skip. Now, if I'm going to lead, if I'm going to, I can, or you're going to read a hymn. Skip, I'm not even big enough to put it like the grown people come up there and they put their nose down there what they want to read. I can't even reach up there to put it up there. I'm so small.
Nope.
So I got started early. I mean, here's a 6, 7-year-old kid that says, okay, you got to pray in front of church. And so I'm just going, Skip, I'm mimicking what I've heard the older men pray. I get down and put one knee up, Skip.
That's all right.
I feel like I'm one of the 40, 50-year-old deacons that's leading, and I'm like, that was and so my brother and I, we got no problem. My sister want no part of public speaking. She want no part of the public. But that's not her. That's us. We've been doing it so long. Stacks got thrust.
But remember, you got some preacher in you.
Yeah, I do.
You do?
I do, Skip. Reverend Burns, who our pastor, he told my grandmother, he says, I know that boy is good in sports, but I believe he'll make a better pastor than a football player.
I'll co-sign that one.
But Skip, and that's what I say, Stacks, in the position that you're in now, you have to be extra careful. And the analogy that I like to use a lot, I say you measure 10 times and cut once. Not cut 10 times because you measured once. So every step needs to be methodical. Every word needs to be deliberate, concise, with meaning, with purpose. There can be no slip-ups because people are looking to discredit you. They're looking to discredit this movement.
I agree. So what is Steven Jackson's middle name? It's Jesse. Steven Jesse Jackson. And I think Steven sat back and said, well, maybe there was a reason for this. And he took it very seriously, deeply personally. He became a zealot for Black Lives Matter. And he's speaking, and he's thriving, and he's growing, but he's not yet quite qualified. He's not sure. All he knows is, by nature, he is a defender.
I got to get justice for my brother. I got to get justice for my twin.
Because, remember, when he was 16 years of age, he had a half-brother who was 23 who got jumped and beaten to death. And Steven says to this day, I regret I was not there to defend him and fight for him. So what happened that fateful night back in 2006 in Detroit, early in that season, Indiana, at Pistons, malice in the palace happened. Ron Artest lost it for a moment because a guy threw a cup full of Coke at him. And he said, you can't do that to me. I'm a man. I'm coming after you. And he goes up, what, 3-4 rows of the stands, and all of a sudden somebody flies out of the left side of my picture. It's Steven Jackson. He's up in the stands ready to throw down on anybody because he's going to have the back of his teammate. Which led to one of the greatest players in the history of this league, one of the great leaders, Tim Duncan, calling Steven Jackson, when he was a Spur, the ultimate teammate. He was being, yesterday, the ultimate, it was actually 2 days ago when it started, he was being the ultimate teammate to DeSean Jackson, who is a friend of his, who called him to say, hey, this is going on right now. What should I do? And Steven said, I got to come to your defense. Well, the only way he knows to do it right now is social. Go to social. Let me go to IG. Let me go to Twitter. Let me fight for you. You cannot defend a fellow black man, a friend of yours, while continuing to offend a group of people, the Jewish people. You cannot do that. So you have to think, you have to look before you leap, because everything you've done up to this point hasn't been just good, it's been great. And I believe you can continue to be great in that role, but you have to be smart enough to sit back for a moment, size up. What did you just say about you better measure?
10 times, cut once.
You better measure it 10 times before you jump, especially on social media, because once it's out there, you cannot get it back.
And one of the things that Stack's going to have to understand also is that you're going to have to know when to fight and when to go pull your friend back. Everything doesn't require you to go fight. Sometimes it requires you to bring your friend back, because he rushed into a building to try and save a man that had already been saved. D-Jack said what he said. He had apologized and said what I was trying to say was about black empowerment, black uplifting. So he had apologized for his misstep.
He had.
Stack ran back into the house that the man had already been rescued. You didn't need to do that. And so you doubling down on something through emotion. And when you double down on something with emotion, Skip, you're wrong twice. As opposed to doubling down with facts. Because facts, I'll be right every time I uttered that. He was wrong this time. And I'm glad he cleared it up and said, I'm sorry, I didn't add more clarity to what I was trying to be supportive with D-Jack on. That was his mistake. But in the process, Skip, we don't have to stand on someone else for us to be seen. We don't need to stand on the shoulders of the Jewish community for us to be seen, because we want them to be allies, not adversaries. And I said, Stack, think about it now. For the last couple of days, ain't nobody mentioned Black Lives Matter, because we're trying to put this fire out that we started that we didn't need to start.
You started it. You did.
So let's keep focused.
DeSean started it, and Steven Jackson poured a whole bunch of gasoline on it, and it just raged for the last 48 hours. And Steven went so far yesterday as he tried to defend himself. This is where, once it starts, you can't finish it. You're not going to win this fight. He tried to fight on Twitter, live fight with followers as they responded. No, you're going to lose it. And it only got worse. You stepped out of bounds the first time, then you fell out of bounds with comment after comment after comment. You can't defend the Hitler part of it.
No.
Once Hitler is brought into the conversation, it's over.
Right.
And then I saw Stephen yesterday say at one point to somebody on Twitter that he was responding to, I don't give an F about Hitler. Well, I don't think he does, actually, in the big picture of things. He said, I know he was cruel, and I don't support that. And I'm saying, Stephen, cruel? That's, as I told you earlier, that's like saying hell is kind of warm.
Right.
No. Hell is raging hot.
Yeah, whatever the worst adjective that you could come up to describe a human being should be attached to Adolf Hitler. A guy's responsible for 6 to 10 million innocent lives.
He was a monster.
Yes.
He wanted to eradicate Jewish people from the face of the earth.
So there's no good that he could have ever uttered.
You can't. Once you say Hitler, it's over.
Right.
I know DeSean's point was I was trying to uplift. Well, if you read the quote, it's just disqualified. As soon as and it wasn't even a Hitler quote, but it's attributed to
Right, but here's the thing, though, Skip. In the process of you trying to uplift somebody, you're trying to do down somebody else. So this is what you've done. You're like, but that's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to do this. We're trying to uplift everybody. We're not trying to push anybody down so we can be seen.
Yeah.
We want to bring everybody up. And so if you're with this cause for equality, come on.
Okay, so then Stephen's pride raged, and he posted a statement, your race's pain doesn't hurt more than the next race's pain. We are all so into Black Lives Matter right now because it's so important. It is a watershed moment.
Right.
And it's at top of mind, but it cannot be at the expense of the suffering of the Native Americans or the Jewish people. You can't rank suffering, historical suffering.
No.
It's all tragedy.
Right.
It's just tragedy. It's the inhumanity of man on man. It's indescribable tragedy. It's travesty.
The way it works, everybody thinks their pain is worse.
Yes.
I mean, you got a toothache, I got a toothache. Nah, yours don't hurt worse than mine, Skip. I'm telling you, man, man, it feels like a drill is in my head.
Just don't go there. Stay on you.
Skip, the two things I want to do, there's not a whole lot of things I want to go see, but I want to go to the Black History Museum in D.C., and I want to go to the Jewish Museum, and I want to see.
Good for you.
Those are the two things that I want to see. Before I leave here, I'm going to those two places, and I'm taking a trip to Africa.
Okay. Good for you.
So I might need a little extra time in the next couple of years.
No mercy. Over 50 league executives, coaches, scouts, and players were polled by ESPN to rank their top quarterbacks heading into the 2020 season. Patrick Mahomes came out on top of the list, and down at number 8 was Carson Wentz, followed by Dak Prescott at number 9. So, Shannon, did they get it right?
Oh, stop it. Just stop it.
We love to use the word on this show. We use this word a lot. We use context and we use sample size. Now, Skip says, you know what? When they do this, 20 people and 30 people, that's a large sample size, right, Shannon? Right, Shannon, Sharpe, Shannon. So I just want to make sure I'm hearing you correctly. 50 is a large sample size when you're dealing with coaches, scouts, execs, and players. Would you agree that is a large sample size? That is enough sample size to concur that, you know what, they're pretty accurate.
Maybe.
I told you walking to him. What's the best game I just been?
Oh, so he's one slot better.
No. I kept telling you this. I kept telling you, I've been preaching this to you for 4 years. And finally, Skip, it's like, it's validation for me. It's validation. It's like, you try to get something published, and after all, everybody told you, no, it's not worth anything. I don't want to read. Nobody wants to read this. And you get the people that say, you know what? I think you're onto something. Let me take a look at that. Let me just add a little, boom, and there we go. And one of the things that they said is, what can he do, Skip? He can carry a team. Now, we saw Dak Prescott. Don't look down. Look at that.
I didn't see that.
We saw Dak Prescott in 20, what was that? 2017, Skip? When Zeke missed that little bit of time?
Yeah.
And what happened?
6 games, no good.
Now, my guy.
No left tackle.
We had that.
No protection.
We had no right tackle. Lane Johnson was gone. No left tackle. Big Jason Peters was hurt. And our receivers, D-Jack, gone. Alshon, gone. The third guy, gone. Aguilar. Who that was, Skip? And my guy still brought us home. Y'all had to win one game. You had Dak Prescott, the guy that you wanted to be ranked in front of, walking to him. had your entire team. Think about it. You had Gallup, you had Coop, you had Zeke, you had Pollard, offensive line that's ranked 3rd in the NFL. You had that and could not win one game. My guy did it. So, Skip, I don't know what you want me to tell you. It's done. I don't want to hear it. We're not arguing. We're not debating this no more. It's over.
Oh, really? It's over. 8-9. It's over. So, I will give you this. Philly beat Dallas in the game. Sink or swim. Do or die. Win or go home.
Yep.
End of year game. I give you that. Dak Prescott had a busted up shoulder. He could not practice all week, and he tried to go because he always goes because he's never missed a game. Unlike your guy, Carson Wentz, who is always beat up, always missing games. In fact, that led to the first playoff start of Carson Wentz's career. And what happened? He lasted 4 passes into the game.
He got speared.
He had completed 1 pass out of 4 for a grand total of 3 yards, and he got concussed, and he was gone again.
Did he get speared?
Yep. But some guys can take it, and some guys can't. Some guys are injury-prone, and some guys, Dak Prescott, are not injury-prone. They're just tough guys. Your guy had to watch Nick Foles win a Super Bowl over Tom Brady with that talent that he had. It was Super Bowl talent. Yeah. It was a very talented team. Well, I don't know. Carson Wentz, would he have...
We might have scored 50 with walking to him.
You know, maybe not. He scored 41 without it.
Yeah.
Pretty great. So let's look back at he's getting such run, such play out of the end of the year when he took nobody, and yet Greg Ward Jr. is pretty good. I want him on my team. I'll take him. There would have been, in that game at Philadelphia, I wish I'd had Greg Ward Jr. instead of Amari Cooper, who quit on Dak Prescott again. He was running such half-hearted routes that Jason Garrett, of all vanilla coaches, said, you know what? I've seen enough of that guy. You're out. You come over here and stand by me. He yanked him from the game. And on the final drive of the game, when my man did overthrow Tavon Austin, what could have been the play of the game, could have been the tying play of the game, he missed it. He missed the throw, bad shoulder and all. But there was no Amari on the field for the whole last drive because he got yanked by the coach. Okay, so that's what my guy was up against. While your guy, this is the last 4 games of the year. He beat the Giants, the lowly Giants. It took overtime. He had a QBR in that game of 32. He was horrible for the first half of that game.
It was raining.
Yeah, he's horrible. Then they go to Washington. They barely win. It ended up 37-27, but it was they were down 27-24 with 26 seconds left, and he hit Greg Ward Jr. for a big touchdown. Okay, was it great? Was he great in that game? He was decent, but then the Dallas game, he wasn't very good at QBR 64. And then they go up to New York. They get to play the Giants twice in the last 4 games, and he goes up to New York and has a QBR of 40, and they survive.
But, Skip, you've been telling me this whole time, when I tell you Brady wasn't good, you say he was great when he had to be. He wasn't great the entire game against the Rams, but you said that last drive, he goes bing, 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 and they get the touchdown. You say he's great in moments. My guy was great in moments. He was great when he needed to be. And I'm looking at the article that say mostly he was in the range of 7 to 12. So he could easily. And what did it say? Evaluated citing inconsistency, ball placement as core issues. And plus, in big games, when they needed to have it, was the Saints a big game? Yep. Eagles at the end of the year, was that a big game? Yep. Was Minnesota a big game? Yes. What about Green Bay? Minnesota. What about New England?
And what about my man Shannon Sharpe saying, pay Dak his money? What about Shannon Sharpe saying, give him $40 million? What did you just say? He's not very good. He came up small in all these big games. There were 7 games that you were on the road to going down.
But Skip,
you gave him Fs for 7 games.
If you don't mind me asking, look at all the guys that are there. Their contract, they got multiple years on the deal. Dak is the only one that's had to play his deal out. Here's a guy that's rookie, Skip, the guy coming off his rookie contract, made $2 million for 2 division titles, a playoff win, and a rookie of the year. And all the Cowboys paid him was $2 million. Now, I need back. Skip, we like the IRS. You know, the IRS let you go as long as you can, and then they're looking at your bank account like, oh, yeah, now we got him. We can bankrupt him. Dak say, y'all, hey, I'll let y'all go. Y'all could have did this before. Now I want back pay. So you got to pay what you owe plus interest. And you know Uncle Sam won't hear money.
Okay. So nobody has supported Dak Prescott any more than this guy over on this side of this table. And so I got to take great exception to a quote I read in the Dak breakdown.
What did he say?
Anonymous quote, AFC executive. Maybe he hadn't watched the guy.
No. What did he say? How did he do it? What did he say?
He, meaning Dak, will get paid as one of the best, but he's certainly not top 5 and marginal top 10. Well, I've ranked him 10th, 9th, or 10th. Yeah. Great rookie season, set the stage for him to hit another level that he never really was going to hit. The bar got set high, and I don't know if he can reach it. He hasn't thrown it well since 2016.
I disagree.
That's just wrong.
I disagree.
Come on.
Yeah, I disagree.
Let's just do 2018. After Amari arrived and he suddenly had a bona fide, legit #1 receiver, and those are mostly home games there. So, because once Amari started going on the road last year, we lost him. But in that stretch, over the last 10 games of 2018, Dak Prescott led the NFL in completions. So he hasn't thrown it well since 2016. He's thrown the heck out of it. Led the NFL in catchable passes, 4th in yardage, 3rd in air distance. So there's no more dinking and dacking going on. He was bombs away. It was spectacular. Yet, coming off that stretch and that surge, as we went into 2019, the annual poll in the summertime before camp opened, NFL players only voting on top 100 in the NFL. Dak Prescott didn't even get voted into the top 100. So what does that tell you? This is pretty amazing. He even got voted up to 9 here among quarterbacks.
Well, I think the thing is, Skip, I disagree with what that AFC executive or scout or whatever it was said, because I do believe Dak is a better quarterback than he was in his rookie season, although maybe the team. I think the thing is, Skip, is that back then that team was a heavily run first, a lot of play action, but they're different now. Dak is asked to do more. He's thrown the ball better, and the yardage would indicate that. The touchdowns would indicate that. But they're a different team now. They put more on his plate now, and so it's easier for us to critique him. It was hard to critique him in 2016, Skip, because Zeke was going for 100 yards every game. And there was controlling the clock, like you said.
He literally averaged over 100 yards a game as a rookie.
And he only played 15, because remember the last game was in Philly, and he rested.
They did. Yep. Okay, so bottom line to this discussion. I believe that Dak Prescott is a more consistently accurate thrower of the football than your guy Carson Wentz is. And this does point out on ESPN that he's eclipsed 64% passing only once in 4 seasons. It's not great. And furthermore, under fire, under pressure, my guy does not flinch. Your guy goes deer in headlights occasionally and gets a little too revved up. I know he can make plays outside the pocket. They're both athletic. They're both big, strong.
Well, your guy is 64% because he's dinking and dacking it.
No, he's
the
not.
First 2 to 3 years, he was dinking and dacking. Shore fishing, that's what we call it, Skip. No deep sea, no bombs.
He's an accurate thrower of the football. Your guy is here and there.
We catch marlin, you catch little perch, little brim. Yeah, that's what you catch, yeah.
We caught division titles in 2016 and 2018.
Who got it now?
We caught whales.
Who the division champ now? Us.
By default.
Wear your T-shirt.
Randy Moss already said he thought he would catch 30 touchdowns in a season from Patrick Mahomes. Now Moss is also saying that Mahomes can pass Tom Brady as the GOAT. Moss said Mahomes' ability to extend plays and make big, deep throws means he could be, quote, the greatest quarterback of all time. So, Shannon, is this more about Mahomes or is it about Brady?
About my homeboy. Moneybags Mahomes. Skip.
$500 million.
He's right, because we've never seen a quarterback get up to this start. Skip, we got to go back 35 years for it to be even considered that a quarterback so young was the best player in the league. You got to go back to 84 and Dan Marino. And before that, you probably got to go back another 30 years with Jim Brown. Somebody so young was the best player in the National Football League. So we're in uncharted territories. So I agree with Randy. We talk about a guy that's won the league's MVP and the Super Bowl MVP, 5,000 yards passing, 50 touchdowns in a single season. Skip, it's hard to say that he's not on the road. So if he gets another couple of Super Bowls and continue this arc, because I believe he's going to win a couple of more MVPs. He's on the road. It's like Usain Bolt. Usain Bolt, yeah, he broke out there and ran the time that he ran in Beijing. But he needed, so he's like, man, this guy got a chance to be the greatest sprinter of all time. And then he follows it up again, and then in London, and then follows it up in Rio. And then the world. So, Skip, yes, Patrick Mahomes is well on his way. Now, can he keep this pace up? Do I see him as a scenario where he wins 3-4 leagues MVPs? Yes. Can I see him winning 3 or 4 Super Bowl MVPs and him being the MVP of those? Yes. And his numbers are going to say yes. He's going to make a case. He can make a case to be the greatest of all time, Skip. He's not there yet, but he's well ahead. Because think about what Brady has done at the age of 24, and think about what Mahomes has done at 24. And you can see he's fast-tracked to be ahead of that pace.
By the way, Tom Brady won 3 Super Bowls in his first 4 years. And in the one year they missed the playoffs, he led the league in touchdown passes. So I'm sorry, I'm not seeing the greatest start ever.
How old was he? You got to realize, so you were talking about that in his first, 4 years of starting, his first 3 years of starting?
Yeah.
He was, 26? Mahomes was 24. 24 years of age with a league MVP. Think about it. Even though he had won those 2 Super Bowls, nobody thought he was the best player in the league. That distinction still went to Peyton Manning.
Because he was a 6th-round pick and nobody could wrap their mind around what he was doing. But he won in his first 4 years of starting 3 Super Bowls with 3 game-winning drives and led the league in touchdown passes the year they missed the playoffs. It's preposterous, that kind of start. It's unheard of. It's never happened before. Might never happen again. But let's get back to the subject at hand. It's another day, another shocking shot by Randy Moss at Tom Brady. And I just can't wrap my head around it because it's like, Randy, just take your show on the road. You should open here at the Comedy Club or wherever. You know, you should
the Laugh Factory.
Yeah, the Laugh Factory. Do it every night. I'll take on Tom Brady. And I will preface everything I say, no disrespect intended toward Tom, but boom, disrespect. We've had 3 straight days. And I love Randy Moss, and I obviously love Tom Brady. Randy Moss was the most electric deep threat we've ever seen. We've never seen anything like him before. Right. But we'd also seen never anything like the union of Tom Brady and Randy Moss in 2007. They were unstoppable.
Correct.
Records fall like snow in Foxborough. We've never seen anything like it. And I thought it would hold a special place in Randy's heart to the point that he would pay a little more respect to Tom than we talked about Cam Newton. And Randy says, oh, that offense is going to be so much more fun to watch with Cam Newton. Really? So Tom Brady won 6 Super Bowls with 6 game-winning edge-of-the-cliff drives. That wasn't fun? I think Patriot Nation would say, that was a blast, man. And then the next day he says, oh, Patrick Mahomes, I would have got 30 touchdown passes. And the 23 that he caught from Brady in 07 still stands as the all-time record.
Might stand for a while.
It's still the record. And he says, 30. Stop it.
He would have.
Okay, now he's talking GOAT. And Patrick Mahomes has won 1 Super Bowl with a kind of a shaky performance. We're going to talk about that in just a moment. Talk about how many Super Bowls.
Your guy's first Super Bowl performance was shaky, too.
Not in the end, it wasn't, because he completed 5 straight passes to get them in field goal range when John Madden up in the booth was saying, shut it down, take the ball out of his hand.
What did that guy do in the last two drives? Touchdown.
Yeah, well, he threw a pick at the end of the 3rd quarter and one early in the 4th quarter, and then he got away with near murder, throwing a punt on 3rd and 15 to Tyreek, and it somehow came down in the right colored jersey's hands.
Skip, if you look at where Randy is saying, if you look at what he's done in his first 2 years of starting, Skip, nobody thought Tom Brady at 24 was the best player in the league. Nobody.
Okay, I got it, but nobody saw it because he ran the ugliest 40-yard dash in the history of the combine, and that side alone, that side of Brady without a shirt on, that disqualified him from being even considered the great. I didn't do it for a while. I was like, there's no way. Skip, I was a Montana guy.
But you have to understand, though, Skip, even then when they were winning Super Bowl, they were a run-based, play defensive football team. Tom Brady didn't win his first MVP until 07.
Until he had to pull it out of the fire with a late game-winning drive. And every one of them, it wasn't run first, it was throw first.
But I'm saying, that was their game plan. they don't. The Kansas City Chiefs don't go into the game saying, "Oh, we got to establish the run." They go into the game saying, "My homeboy, deliver us."
So here's my theory. I want to remind everyone, Randy Moss is the same age as Tom Brady. That's when Tom, on August 3rd, turns 43.
Right.
They will both be 43.
Right.
So we can say they're the same age.
Right.
I believe it sticks in his craw, as it does in a lot of the ex-players, that Tom Brady is talking about playing 3 more years in Tampa at age 43 until he's 46 years of age. 3 more. I want to remind everybody, Randy Moss has not played football since 2012 when he was kind of a sad shell of himself. Remember in the Super Bowl, he was a 49er. He hasn't been a significant factor in the National Football League since he was with Brady in, say, 2009, I would say. Okay, so 2009? And we're all the way, that's 11 years there, and Brady's talking about playing 3 more. So think about how many more years that Brady is thinking about playing that Randy didn't play.
Right.
And I believe it could cause some subliminal, psychological sort of resentment of, he's still playing? We did that in 2007, and he's still going strong in Tampa?
I believe it's psychologically truth-telling myself. The man just laid out facts. We got a 24-year-old kid that's the best player in the NFL, and there's no questions about it. Have a draft today. Okay, you hit drafted right now. You get 1 player to start your franchise right now moving forward. Everybody is unanimous is taking 15 from Kansas City. No questions about it.
Well, I can't wait for our next topic, the next time we talk about him in just a couple of minutes here, because we're going to talk about how many Super Bowls he does win. And I'm just not so sure, because there's a runaway hype train right now because of that contract.
Well, he worth it. He gonna, as a matter of fact, he about to be underpaid. Give him 2 years, that contract will be absolutely like, no, we got to tear this up and give him more money.
Under the radar is number 12, now down there in Tampa Bay.
No mercy. Patrick Mahomes' mega extension for 10 years and nearly $500 million now puts him under contract for the next 12 seasons in Kansas City. And according to Fox Bet, they have set the over-under at 1.5 for the number of Super Bowls that Mahomes will win over the next 12 years. So, Shannon, are you taking the over or under at 1.5 Super Bowls?
You put me 10 bands down there, I'm taking the over.
Really?
Yeah.
How much over?
I'm taking over.
Way up?
I'm at 2.5. I'm going to go Shree. I'm going to say he'll win 3 titles.
3? The other day you said 2.
No, 2 plus 1. He already got 1.
Oh,
2
2
already,
more.
yeah.
Okay, well, but the over-under is what's going to happen in the next 12 years.
I give him 3 titles. He'll win 3.
3 in the next 12, so you're going up to 4. The other
2
day...
to 3. 2 to 3.
2 to 3.
I feel comfortable saying 3 to 4 titles.
Okay.
With 3 to 4 MVPs. And by year 12, he'll be the greatest. That what you thinking too, Skip?
I'm thinking Tom Brady went to 9 Super Bowls in 20 years and won 6 of them. Easily could have won 8 of them.
What if he goes 4-0 with 4 MVPs? Now we go because Skip, he's 24 years old. He's already the best player in the league. He has a long-term contract that gives them flexibility to keep players around him. His core around him are fairly young. Tyreek 27, Hardman 22, Watkins 27. Kelsey's 30, offensive line intact, and he have a big red. Andy Reid said, I'm going to coach as long as he on the contract. So let's just, Andy's 62, let's just give him conservatively, say, next 5 to 7 years. Oh, yeah. So, Skip, I don't see any reason why. I'm going to be gravely disappointed. It's July 9th. I'm going to be gravely disappointed by July 9th, say 2025, if I ain't talking about a 2 to 3 time champion.
That will not get you in the GOAT conversation. The GOAT's 9 times with 6 wins.
Skip, you do understand. I say 2025.
Oh.
So I'm talking about 3 times and then he goes 3-0 with 3 league MVPs. Oh, we gonna have a serious discussion. He might not be in the driver's seat, but he in the catbird seat.
Really?
Which is a very favorable position for him to take over the driver's seat.
I think he might be in the trunk at that point. You know, this contract has become a runaway hype train. $500 million he got. And the harder I look at it, upon further review, it's much more team-friendly than player-friendly.
That's okay.
And I look at it and I think, Patrick, you could have just said, No, I'll wait. I'll play under the tag for the next 3 years. What if he just played under the tag? He could have made twice as much money as he will make in the next 3 years.
Hold on. I thought it wasn't about money. I thought it was about championship. Now, when Tom Brady took this less money, you said it wasn't about money, it's about championship. Now he gives them flexibility because he got security, Skip, $50 million the first year. But he got security because theoretically he had this year, next year, plus 3 tags. So really, Kansas City didn't have to do anything until 2025.
But now I'm hearing Michael Jordan. He's going to become the Michael Jordan. He's positioned to become Michael Jordan over the next 12 years. But if you're saying he's just going to win 2 more in 12 years, that ain't Jordan.
I say 2 more in 5 years.
Yeah? 5 years?
Yeah, 2 more. In 2025, I'm going to be disappointed if he ain't got 3.
Okay, but you said 2 over 12 years to get to 3 total.
No. I believe he's going to be 3. I'm going 3. I'm going 3 in the next 5 years.
And I'm going to remind everybody, he's very, very fortunate to have 1 because, well, wait a second. Late in the third quarter, they're down 20-10, and they're facing a big 3rd and 12. And what did he do? Can we see that real quick? 3rd and 12. He drops back. Oh, this is the GOAT. The future guy. Wait, he threw it right to a 49er. That's no good.
The linebacker made a good play. He got up under the route. He got up under the route. Okay. He read his eyes.
That's a really bad read and a bad throw. Off target and bad. Let's go to the next one. It's 3rd and 6, and you're still down 20-10 early in the fourth quarter. And this is just a little low and outside to Tyreek. That's a horrible throw by the soon-to-be GOAT, right?
So let me make sure I'm hearing you correctly. Tom Brady never had any bad throws.
No, but this guy was lucky. The next Tom Brady was the opponent in this game, Jimmy Garoppolo, and in the fourth quarter, he goes 3 for 11 for a grand total of 36, and he misses Emmanuel Sanders wide open at the goal line for what could have been the go-ahead touchdown with 1 minute and 30 seconds left. That's how lucky you were to survive this Super Bowl.
I mean, I would have set the titles at 2.5. That's what I would have said 2.5 titles.
Wow, that's a shocking increase. Why don't you put your money where your mouth is? Go to 5 or 6 or 7.
No, that's unnecessary.
Go Jordan.
No, that's unnecessary. All we're going to do is we're just going to keep stacking them. Because I feel what the Broncos are going to stick in there, sneak in there and get one of them things.
No, okay. You don't seem real confident about this.
I like Drew Lock.
Yeah.
And I
don't.
And then you a hater.
I don't.
You a hater.
I didn't like him before the draft. Good luck with him.
That's okay.
He ain't no lock.
We're lock. We're going to challenge Kansas City for that division.
Oh, God.
All right, guys, we are sticking with QBs because in ESPN's latest quarterback rankings for the 2020 season, Aaron Rodgers came in 3rd overall behind Patrick Mahomes and Russell Wilson. Rodgers' highest rank he's earned from the 50 people surveyed was 2nd, while the lowest, he was ranked 7th. So, Shannon, do you think it's too high, too low, or just right for Aaron Rodgers?
Validated, it gets called Validation Thursday. We like validation. I mean, if you're a writer, if you write for a newspaper, the ultimate validation you can receive is a Pulitzer, right? If I were an actor, if I was in Hollywood, let me get an Oscar. If I were a chef, your brother, Rick, he's James Barry.
Got 2 of them.
Yeah. For me, is that when they validate me in what I've been telling you. Now, 50, Skip Bayless tells me sample size. We need a large sample size. Dr. Fauci speaks sample size when he's talking about this epidemic that we're going through. 50 people, not just players, not just coaches, not just execs, not just scouts. It's a hodgepodge. It's a compilation of all of that. And they said Aaron Rodgers. Now, Skip Bayless and some will have you believe he stepped off a cliff. I said there's a lot of people that's going to want to step off that cliff with 26 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 4,000 yards with a 13-3 record. I say, what other than Pat Mahomes, boy, wouldn't take that right now? Because he said, I'm a walking 4,500, 5,000 with 35, 40 touchdowns. Skip, I keep telling you this. He ain't going anywhere. He's still legit. I mean, let that skip. He was highest 2, and the lowest was 7. The lowest. Well, I mean, Skip, what more do you want me to tell you? I keep telling you. He's still that dude. He's still that guy. He still is.
This is simply about reputation. This is laughable. Aaron Rodgers 3rd. Did anybody watch him? Did anybody study him?
Yep.
Remember, this league, all these executives are notorious for swinging and missing on picking quarterbacks.
Oh, my goodness.
I remind you, let's go back to the 2018 draft. I told you Baker would go #1, and he did. And he struggled last year, but I don't think he'll struggle next year because he deserved the #1 overall.
Okay.
And then next in line at #3 is Sam Darnold. I told you, I don't love him. And now they're really questioning Sam Darnold. And I told you, Josh Rosen went 10. I told you, he can't play. He can't play. And I was right. I'm usually righter about these quarterbacks than this league traditionally is. It just swings and misses like crazy in the first round.
If you don't mind me asking, Skip, why is it that they're always wrong if they got Rodgers or they got somebody other than Brady in the top spot? You never say they got this wrong with Brady. You talking about, what'd you say?
With Brady's the GOAT. How could they get it wrong?
Skip, just because he has the most Super Bowl does not mean he's still the top player in the NFL.
Well, he's 43.
Okay, well, you say he's 43.
I think he's about to win an MVP. That's what's going to happen, and you're going to have to eat a whole bunch of chicken fried crow over there, man.
Oh, because are they giving? Let's see. Are they giving my homeboy the season off?
No.
Okay, what about Lamar?
I got my money on Brady.
Russ.
I like it. I like the narrative. I like the story. 43-year-old who gets pushed out the back door in New England, and down in Tampa, he's got weapons he never dreamed of in New England, thanks to Belichick.
Coach Belichick ain't put him at the front, though.
All I know about Aaron Rodgers is what I kept telling you. For the last 4 years, his stats have steadily declined. His QBR has declined each of the last 4 years, and his completion percentage has declined each of the last 4 years, hitting bottom last year with a QBR of 54, which ranked 18th in the league, and a completion percentage that ranked 21st overall. And all I need for my validation, my Pulitzer over here, was won by Pro Football Focus. Just recently, they concluded, as they ranked the top 50 players in the league, that Aaron Rodgers no longer belongs in the top 50. And to justify that, they said it came down to Aaron or DeSean, who gets the last quarterback spot, and they decided to go with DeSean at number 47, the last quarterback picked in the top 50. And their reasoning was, while Rodgers certainly has the better and more extensive resume, it feels like two players are moving in the opposite directions right now. While Watson's star is on the rise, Rodgers has become even more evidently part of the problem in Green Bay. And his own team spent the offseason laying plans to minimize his role in 2020 and replace him beyond that, because whom did they take in the draft? They traded up to take Jordan Love, maybe the next Mahomes boy. And they took him to fast-track him to replace the guy who just got ranked 3rd overall. Ha, ha, ha. Is this a joke? Is this a parody?
But since you like to read, I'm going to read from the article when they're talking about the quarterback. When he's humming, he's still tier 1, without question. One coordinator said, the things he can do, maybe outside of my homeboy, nobody else can do. That throw that he made to Tyreek Hill, my homeboy, Aaron Rodgers, as I told you, was the only other guy that could do that.
So the Packers are crazy because they're thinking Jordan Love can do things that Aaron Rodgers hasn't been able to dream of doing for the last 4 years.
Well, he's going to do the exact same thing Aaron Rodgers did for the first 3 years, sit on the bench. Because Aaron Rodgers is not going anywhere. And you know what? If I'm Aaron Rodgers, I go in there and I'm going to say, you know what, I want out. I'm going to get them to the playoff this year, and I'm going to say, you know what, y'all need to get me up out of here. See, since y'all want to draft a Jordan Love, I hope y'all love him because I'm deuces out.
Really? So I'm wondering, what did they watch in Aaron Rodgers? Because if you watch carefully Green Bay last year, you could not figure out how they were winning games. And I kept telling you that the real MVP was not Aaron Rodgers, it was Aaron Jones. He had a career year last year that he did not get enough credit for. He absolutely destroyed my team at Jerry World. That was an Aaron Jones game, not an Aaron Rodgers game.
Aaron Jones played really well. He had a lot of rushing touchdowns, Skip, but he was not even top 10 in rushing.
But he can catch it. Go look at his catch.
Yeah.
Go look at what he did on the road at Kansas City.
Who throwing him the ball?
The Dink and Dak balls that he carries for another 30 yards?
And in motion, in stride. So he doesn't have to break stride. And he had think about this. He had 26 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 4,000 yards, a 4,000-yard passing season. And Devontae missed 4 games.
He was doing just fine.
So that might be 30 and 4 with an extra, 500 to 600 yards. So 4,600, 30-4. Could I interest you in that?
Interesting. So Tom Brady has never gotten the credit he deserved because he went 199th overall. And Dak Prescott has never gotten the credit he deserved because he fell to 135th overall. That's how badly this league evaluates quarterbacks going into the draft. And once again, they have proven how badly they can evaluate quarterbacks now.
Tom Brady has never gotten the credit he deserves, and he's never gotten the blame that he deserves. So say it both ways, because all you want to do last year is make it about the defense and make it about what he didn't have. But what about your guy? He's supposed to lift everybody up. He was supposed to be uplifting.
All I know is he pulled off a drive, speaking of Randy Moss, in the first Eli Super Bowl. He drove them 80 yards for a 5-yard touchdown pass to Randy Moss that put them ahead 14-10 with 2:42 to go. And Belichick's defense spit the bit again and allowed Eli to drive 83 yards for the winning touchdown. And Brady lost another game-winning drive Super Bowl he should have had.
Hold on. How you want me to get this man credit? He's the first unanimous MVP in history. His team is averaging 37 points a game. He gets 14. And you're going to say, oh, well, Brady did. No, he didn't. He was supposed to get me 37. He didn't do that.
So all I know is that Tom Brady in another Super Bowl loss threw for an all-time playoff record 505 yards and put up 33 points on a very good Philly defense and lost 41-33 because Belichick's defense, without Malcolm Butler, who got mysteriously benched for the whole game, gave up 41 to the backup quarterback of the Eagles.
You see what you did?
Wow.
You do what a lot of people do. I remember when Peyton Manning was throwing for all those yards and he was losing the game. And you, because I used to watch you on the other show talk about it's not about stats, it's about championships, it's about playoff games. Now, all of a sudden, Tom Brady doesn't have a defense. Now, oh, look at that, what happened. That's what other quarterbacks have been saying since the beginning of time. I can do what I do, but if I miss one and we can't stop the other team, which you couldn't do, so for one time, Coach Belichick said, Brady, I need you to outgun a guy that came off the bench, and he couldn't do it.
Aaron Rodgers, third, laughable.
Third, it got Nick Foles.
Laughable.
Nick Foles sent Tom Brady $2 million because he got him paid in fool Jacksonville and thought he could actually play. And now look at him up in Chicago, about to fool them Bear fans.
Send that to Belichick.
No mercy.
Utah Jazz star Donovan Mitchell responded to a fan on Twitter who said he would take LeBron James over Mike Tyson in a boxing match because, quote, LeBron is built different. Mitchell responded by saying, quote, respectively, y'all be saying anything on this damn app, followed by 5 laughing emojis. But for what it's worth, LeBron is listed at 6'9", 250. So, Shannon, would you give LeBron a chance?
This much chance.
Zero.
Zero.
Oh, you finally are objective about your man.
Skip, you remember what was it in Albuquerque when Ed Too Tall Jones?
I was there. No, it was in Las Cruces against Jesus Meneses.
And wait, can you tell the people at home
he
what
got
happened?
whipped at 6 feet 9 inches tall.
Yes.
Yes.
And about what, 265, 270?
Maybe.
And the little dude beat the brakes off Too Tall, had Too Tall through the ropes.
It was an embarrassing afternoon.
We got to stop this notion because someone is great in one sport. Oh, he would be great. That's like saying, oh, Cristiano Ronaldo, oh, he would be a heck of a basketball player, or he'd have been a heck of an American football. Man, stop this notion. That's different. The fight game is different than playing football, basketball, or any other thing. I love LeBron, Skip. But LeBron James is not going to be no boxer. LeBron James is doing exactly what he should be doing. Mike Tyson was created and built differently.
Okay, but I think the proposition here is LeBron right now at his age versus Mike Tyson at 54 years of age. And I don't know if we're talking about bare knuckle or with gloves in a ring.
I don't care if they gave LeBron, if they gave Mike Tyson gloves this big to put on. Everything I own, everything I can borrow, and everything I can steal, I'm putting it on Mike Tyson.
We have recently seen the video of the sparring of when Mike Tyson, not sparring, he's just
hitting the mitts.
Hitting the mitts.
Yeah.
And he is hitting them hellaciously, quick, hard, fast.
Yes.
It looks like, dare I say, vintage Tyson. It looks like he hasn't lost much quickness or explosiveness.
No.
Which is why I concur, zero chance. even though LeBron is about a foot taller than Mike Tyson.
I agree with both of you, 100%. Mike, that's all we got for you guys today. Thanks for hanging out. We'll be back tomorrow at 9:30 Eastern. Don't go anywhere, because The Herd is coming up right now.